The story I want to share is many years ago. It was a Saturday afternoon and I was going to the supermarket. And I grew up a small town Texas farm boy, small town values, and everyone knew each other for the most part. And the way that I was raised is that when someone needs help, you help them. And you know how I grew up is if you saw a car on the side of the road, then even if you don't know them, and where I lived, you knew 8 out of 10 people, you pull over and you offer help. And that's just the way that I grew up. So I've learned that we help people. That's what we do, even if you don't know them. And earlier when I was answering this person's question, it reminded me of this story that I heard Matt Damon tell. And Matt Damon was saying that he was in Dallas, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and he had a flat tire. So he pulled over to the side of the road. And he said there were 3 people who pulled over to help me. Now, mind you, none of these people knew as Matt Damon. They just saw somebody, on the side of the road who needed help. And they pulled over and offered help. And he said, in LA, that never would have happened. And that's just, I get it. That's how I was raised. So where I'm going here, one Saturday afternoon, I was going to the supermarket. I don't know, maybe to buy, some steaks to, throw on the grill or something. And as I was getting out of my car, ready to walk into the store, and I'm going to tell you about the specifics of these people as I interpreted them to add more depth and weight to the story. So there were these 2 people arguing in the parking lot. One was a very large man. When I say large, he was probably 6'4", 6'5", very stocky, very well built, looked like a linebacker for an NFL team. Big guy. And then there was this lady, an older lady. She was probably, 60s, maybe even a little older. And she was very petite, maybe 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", a smaller woman. And they were arguing and they were screaming at each other right there in the parking lot. And I just ignore stuff like that. I mean, even that is like, doesn't pertain to me, for the most part. It just, or maybe that's just coming from who I am today. But even back then I'd like, what are they getting into? I got shopping to do. Let me go do, buy my dinner and go home. Anyways, they were arguing in this heated argument. Now, apparently what happened was, when she was pulling into the parking lot, she clipped him with the side of her car. I mean, he wasn't hurt. So apparently she bumped into him or he bumped, I don't know what it was, but they were fighting. What happened is tempers were flaring and she slapped him. And I mean, I'm watching all this. I'm probably, walking towards the store there in front of me, probably, 30 feet away. And she like pulls her arm back and slaps the guy. And then what he does was shocking to me. He slapped her back. And in that moment, I thought, whoa, wait, you don't hit women. And especially you being this massive linebacker looking kind of guy, you don't hit a smaller, older woman. You don't hit anyone, but you just don't do that. And here's the thing, she slapped him, he slapped her back. And I was incredulous. And I was like, it kicked in and like, what do I do? Do I help? Do I step in? The fire department was there and they were also getting, I guess, food for the week or whatever. And there were some firemen there and they were in the big fire truck sitting out front. And they all got out and started approaching this couple fighting. And what happened was she slapped him again. And he slapped her again. But when he slapped her again, what he did is his body, his torso obviously twisted and the back of his shirt came up. And when that happened, he had a gun tucked into the back of his shirt. And my first thought was, whoa, you don't want to be here and you don't know who he is. So I guess my first 2 thoughts. And anyway, the firemen intervened and split them up. I went inside and did my stuff. And when I came back, it was all resolved. Later that night or the next day, I saw Don Javier and I told him this story. And he said to me, what those 2 people were doing had nothing to do with you. It did not pertain to you. and you could have inserted yourself into something that didn't pertain to you. You don't know who that guy was. Maybe he was an off-duty police officer. Maybe he was ex-military, concealed weapon with etc. And he goes, he could have just been some crazy guy that had a gun. You don't know. And then he said that guy, if he wanted, could have pulled his gun out and shot you right there and killed you and erased you from the planet. And why? These two people arguing out of their ego, out of their anger. You insert yourself in it. You didn't cause it, but you insert yourself in it and you make it pertain to you, and it never pertained to you because it was them getting into their ego stupidities. And from that moment, I've always thought about what pertains to me.